Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you today, Jesse Inisan. Now, Jesse is someone you've seen on my channel as of late. He is someone who has this charisma that I really, really like. And so it's been such a joy sharing his astrological brilliance with you. And now it is Jesse who is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series, of which you have just a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer as you are about to see. Jesse, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, I think we're going to have fun because just before we started recording, we started talking and there was such a wonderful flow. I said, we got to turn the camera on. We got to get the recording going. And so I know right now you are in Argentina. And so you've been called to Argentina. Tell me about that journey, that story.
Well, I lived in Romania. I'm French American. And I moved to Romania 5 years ago. And I went to visit my mom. I'm a Sag Moon, Pisces Sun, by the way. Just the crazy. I have all the craziest astrology. That's me. But yeah. And my mom, like, I wasn't planning on going to South America. Somehow it came up, had the idea, and just did it within an hour. Booked, like, had a whole life back in Romania. And I was afraid to come here because I have really bad astrocartography in Argentina. And it was like the third place I went to. I came. I didn't even really like it that much. I still am like back and forth, but there's some karma keeping me here. So yeah, have an apartment already and trying to have my cats come from Romania, which is so hard. And so it's the most painful part.
Oh my goodness, I can imagine. Wow. Yeah, because you were sharing with me earlier off camera that it's your Saturn line. So basically, for those
Yeah.
who are students of astrology, we astrologers love to do something called relocation astrology, right? So we look at what parts of us are emphasized in new places around the world. And for you, it's the planet Saturn that becomes emphasized. And so it's so interesting that it is Saturn that is keeping you there, keeping you in Argentina,
Yeah.
because just now
Prison.
what prison? Oh, that's how you think of it? I don't know. I think it's the karma
It's
that you
Saturn
spoke of.
IC. Yeah, you're right. But it
Mm.
is Saturn IC. So it's what most would consider the worst Saturn line. But
Yeah. I mean, if you want to judge it. However, I will say this. I just realized in talking to you that for me, it's Saturn AC in Rio de Janeiro. And I love Rio de Janeiro. And the main reason I love it is because I feel like there's such stability within community there for me. And as soon
like
as I
that.
arrived, right away, I had people who wanted to meet me because I didn't realize how many people watch me in Brazil, but also
Yeah.
real friends. And I had an experience a few months ago where I met somebody in another country. And the thing that really made it not work was that I didn't like the city that he was in. And I found it very difficult to have community. And I cannot make one person my world. Like it does not
Yeah.
work for me. Yeah. As a Sag moon, you get it, right? Yeah. A
You have
person
no
is too
idea how
small
much
a
I get
world.
what you use. You have no idea. I'm not gonna go to the store, but what you just said is like a summary for my last 2 years before coming here.
Yeah.
But I
Isn't
won't go
it?
into the whole story. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I think we're talking about it in a meta kind of way, and that is sufficient as well for people with the
Yeah.
Sag energy that we have. But yeah, at least the stability, the Saturn part of stability comes forward in Rio de Janeiro for me because right away there's community. I don't need to make
Yeah.
one person my whole world because I have such a rich life and stability in other things. And one other thing I wanted to mention was because you said you were in Romania for 5 years. You might not know this, but actually, when I was born, right, my family, my parents, not my parents, my dad via my grandmother legally changed my name 4 times. 4 times legally
Yeah.
changed my name. They couldn't quite
Whoa.
decide. And then finally, my mom got sick of it. And my mom was actually a huge fan of Nadia Comaneci. the gymnast from Romania. And
The
so she
blonde
was
one,
like,
right?
yeah, right. The what?
Is she the blonde one?
I don't
Is
know.
she
She's
blonde?
blonde, but I know that this was
Yeah,
in the
I think so.
70s. Yeah, yeah. This is back in the 70s. And so at
Mm.
the time, Nadia Comaneci was like this, huge superstar around the world. And my mom was like, we're calling her Nadia. That's it. We're calling her Nadia. And
Good
so I've
reason.
always felt that connection. Yeah, right. I've
I'm
always
gonna
felt
look
that
her up.
connection to Romania because of that.
It's a beautiful place. I love it. I'll be back, but for now, I have to handle this karma, I
Yeah,
guess.
handling the karma. And so I know, once again, everybody, Jesse is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series. And you've got just a little time left, a couple weeks left from the time I'm publishing this to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. And Jesse's going to be teaching on astrology as an art and science, but it's also really practical and has techniques as well. And so let me ask you, Jesse, how do you understand the connection or the intersection between astrology, art, and science?
Well, um, I do one-on-one teaching for astrology, and I see a lot. I have to be careful with how I speak because sometimes the Sag moon, I go a bit extreme in terms of like dissing the TikTok astrology.
Do it.
But
Do
like
it.
I don't think it's a secret that there's a lot of BS out there everywhere, and people don't really use their brains. Like I consider myself a scientist because I taught myself astrology. I never ever learned from anyone. I taught myself astrology. I've been an astrologer in a million past lives, so I just knew it all. Like I learned 10-year level in 6 months. That's just the truth. Or I was like, my friend had 10 years of experience, and I reached her in 6 months of obsession, Pluto, lots of Pluto in my chart. But the point is this: the point is that the only way I was able to do it was because I gave myself a really solid foundation at the start. Because when you're doing a reading, and I'm guessing that people in the class will want to be doing readings or at least be able to do readings, is that you want to have a foundation that then you're able, it's like you're building like a skyscraper or something. You don't want a skyscraper that has like a horrible foundation or the wind's going to blow it over. So you want to have that solid foundation, even if it's not boring. It's always going to be fun when you have Sag moon, Leo rising, Pisces sun. But like the point is that you have to get a little bit Virgo sometimes, guys. You have to get a little bit Virgo Capricorn. And like basically in the class, like I'll show you guys the foundation and kind of what, like there's all in my mind there's a hierarchy of what's important, what's kind of important, and what's just don't even think about it. Maybe like because I've seen astrologers with uh, uh, like I've seen astrology. The worst reading I've ever gotten was with an astrologer with 40 years experience, and it was because she was so hyper focused on such a minute detail that did not matter that she lost perspective of the stuff that did matter, right? And I walked away with nothing. So, Jupiter Pisces Sag is about seeing the big picture. I'd rather, so basically that's what we're doing. And with the art part, it's like when you have the science down, then you can start to work your own intuition. Like I said, I'm a scientist. I learn astrology continuously only by talking to my clients. That's how I learn everything. That's like everything I know, and that's like is because when I do a reading, I have a follow up, and then I ask, did this check out? Does this check out? And there's a lot that is written about in astrology, like a lot of the asteroids that people talk about, like a lot of them I've never heard. Like stars, yes, asteroids, for example, like I don't know. There's only a few that I've gotten like, yeah, you really were right on that. But then there's certain aspects, mostly aspects, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but that'll be in the class.
Well,
Sign up.
it's interesting that certain techniques work more for certain people. And of course, the basics always are so foundational and they're so important. And coming back to the foundations of, like, really, when we look at the well established techniques and interpretations, they have a lot of power to them, even though we bring our modern nuance and sensibilities to them. Yeah, there is something to be said for understanding what really matters when it is that you're looking at a chart. So, name one thing that you always look at.
I mean, I'm a karmic astrologer, so I have a lot of secrets. But I am also very transparent. That's very weird. I don't even know how to describe that.
Yeah,
But
that's quite the
okay, so
contradiction. Yeah.
yeah, I know that is a complete contradiction.
Yeah.
But basically, okay, so I work my way. I mean, every reading is different for me. I don't plan anything. I never do live readings. I only base it off of I just have the person's birth info and then I hit record. I don't even look at it for like 1 second in advance. And like it switches up. Like, but lately I've been working my way from out to in, if that makes sense. Starting like with more of the karmic stuff, nodes. But like I guess what one thing I would say, aspects are the most important thing in astrology. The moon is the most important planet. Um, I think that the ascendant is as important as the sun, if not more. And I think the Vedic astrology would agree with me there. I know it would. And yeah, I just have a lot of different takes because like for example, let's say I have a client who has I've had, let's say, hundreds of clients who've had Moon square Pluto or Moon square Neptune. Like I asked them what their experiences, and then okay, I'll give you one. This is the one that came to me. I Besides like a 12th house sun or a 12th house moon, I've had a lot of trouble determining the moon is the mom and the sun is the dad. Like it just it works sometimes, but it's like it's 50% or less, So I've started looking at it more psychologically, where the moon is that early psychological process of feeling grounded, feeling emotionally well, um, that continues into into adulthood, and the sun is what you're striving towards. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same for you, but like like when I was reading the sun as the dad and the moon as the mom, like people would be like, yeah, my mom was great, and it'd be like moon square Pluto's opposite Saturn, quincunx Uranus, and she's like, yeah, we have a great relationship. I'd be like, oh, oops. So yeah,
Yeah, I remember again going to the right interpretations, the right techniques do find you when you are an astrologer, a practicing astrologer. And I like to think personally that we are forever students of astrology as well. So I love that you actually follow up with people, you talk to them, because in a way it's like gathering research at the same time. And so I think that's
yes,
amazing. But I remember years ago, I experimented with some techniques, and that's why um, I'll come across a book or something, and right away, what you do is, for me personally, I will apply it to my own chart and I'll see if it makes sense. And then, if it makes sense, I'll ask somebody else in terms of when I'm doing their chart, and I'll apply some of those techniques and I'll say, does that make sense for you? And I did that a lot early on, like in my practice and as a student of astrology. But I remember that's what happened with like traditional astrology for me, because when you read Tetrabiblos by Ptolemy, which is considered by some the foundational text to Western astrology, he has a lot of very specific formulas in there. Like he'll literally
mm,
say, if the sun is in this house and in this sign, and Mars is in this house and this sign, this person will have a burn on their hand when they're 9 years old. Like that's literally the type of very exact formulas he goes through. And so I remember trying them out with a couple of people, and each one of them was like, no, that no. And one interpretation was taking into consideration how you understand the moon. Again, not going to Ptolemy, but um, thinking of the sun as dad, moon as mom. I experimented with that just like you early on, and people were like, no, that doesn't describe my relationship with my mom or my dad or whatever. And so I think it can really depend on a lot of other factors. So it's good to stay open, because sometimes those techniques might come in handy for certain people, but it's
yeah.
also really good to find your own way as an astrologer as well.
100%. And I think like that's why, if you actually think about like someone coming to you for a reading that's not an astrologer themselves, right? They don't understand the language. It's very easy for us as astrologers who this is our life, we're come on, like we're doing this all the time. It's very easy for us to forget that how when you didn't know about astrology, when someone said 10th house, like what did you think? Like I remember I was just like, what house? Like someone's living in, like, it's like, so if someone can leave a reading, I'm not going to give a number, 5, 10, 15, 20, I don't know. Like, even if it's five, but if they can leave a reading with like five extremely powerful takeaways that will could be life changing, I prefer that than trying to claim like I know people like, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name any names, of course, but like I know very good astrologers I respect. I think that they have the talent. I just don't think that they're there yet. And I've seen that proof because trying to be very very predictive, trying to like be like right, like this is going to happen on this day or this month. And I got some readings for them for some loved ones, and like everything was off. Everything was off. And it's just like I was disappointed because I'm just like, wow. So it's almost like they try to be when you try it's like you want to be, I mean, yes, I don't I'm not saying I don't believe that you can get to that level. It's very rare, it's very hard, and I think that you need to build your way up. And you know, once again, it always goes back to that hierarchy,
And so you get to that
especially with
level.
asteroids. I'm
Yeah,
big
yeah, but
anti asteroids. A lot of like the really like smaller ones that people like that you see. I think those are like the most misleading posts on Instagram sometimes. And there are a lot of asteroids that are great. Sorry, but like that's like an example of something that like then you start to think, oh, this asteroid on my is in Pisces that I have that's like, there's hundreds, thousands, or millions of asteroids. Now this is as important as my Venus. And it just creates all this confusion. It's like forget like besides if they're conjunct or and then certain ones, just make it easy, right?
yeah, the basics, right?
Yeah.
If you have the foundation, if you understand the core energies of the planets, the core energies of the Ptolemaic aspects, that can go a really, really long way to doing a reading that makes an impact. And that might actually
Exactly.
be more important in many ways, primary.
Yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, I just think that like going back to the whole science and art aspect is that when you have the science down, then you can figure out, for example, like your idea, like let's say me and you have the same chart, we're both doing a reading on it separately, right? A recording. Like we will maybe arrive at a similar result, but maybe we will like your way of explaining the we keep saying Sag, the Gemini moon combination with the sun in, I don't know, Cancer would be a lot different than mine would be, right? And it's just like that's the art of interpretation is based on your experience, but I think that the science is coming from you as a scientist, you checking. And I think there's a lot of astrologers out there that just blindly believe something. Like going back last time to the asteroids, it's like you create this asteroid. It's like I want to know who created it, like who came up with the name. Like, was it not just some random bored astronomer who's just like, okay, we'll call it this? And what is the proof that it has that impact that you say it does? And I don't know. That's just an example. There's so much more like along those lines. And I think it'd be a lot easier for people if they knew what's really important, what's been proven for thousands and thousands and thousands, and who knows how many thousands of years, and works.
So you described yourself as a karmic astrologer. Can you explain what that means to you?
Yeah. So I believe in reincarnation more than believe, I know. And as someone who has always been very interested in eighth house sun, and Mercury in Pisces, in death and in cycles and all that. Um, so okay, I see a lot of kind of numerology and Chinese astrology, things like this that are becoming a little bit more mainstream, even with men these days. And a lot of the emphasis is about power and money. My emphasis is about, I think it's about soul evolution, consciousness evolution, karmic evolution. So what's the point of getting of trying to use astrology just to get more money, or just because ultimately you're just going to reincarnate with the same bullshit, with like the same thing. And excuse my language. So that's what I'm concerned about is what is this person doing and what is holding them back from their maximum potential, and what route do they take, and what is the route that what are the things that the pieces of resistance that are keeping them away from, getting to this next level.
Wow. So I love how you said you're focused on helping people not to just reincarnate with the same stuff, like just deal with it already, heal it already, evolve from it already, so that you don't have to continue on the path that you are. And even if we don't consciously realize it, our soul stays on that path. Like, even
Yeah.
if in this lifetime, in this incarnation, we don't realize that this is part of a larger journey of our soul. And that is so fascinating to consider. And so can you give an example of like what might we look for to consider, like, because you said you help people overcome certain blocks. Is there like
Mhm.
maybe something you could, like, because I'm very curious. I want to look at my chart now and see what it is that you are thinking. What is one of the first things I should look at to try and identify what some of my blocks might be?
Um, well, think of you instead of thinking of your sun sign as your sun sign, think of your south node sign as your sun sign. And just understanding the high and low manifestation of your south node, and of course, any squares to the south node, any planets that are conjunct the south node, that means that they oppose the north node. So, they could have been with you, but yeah, and then any planets on the north, or any planets on the north node conjunct the south node. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Um, so, but yeah, really the squares are skip steps. And I think that the South Node is so strong. And I think that I've seen people where they don't resonate with their sun sign, and then I start talking about their South Node. Like a recent example, Pisces South Node, Libra Sun. And this guy is just, I mean, most, like, you would think he's like a quadruple Pisces the way he acts, just goes with the flow. I'm like, you have to be more Virgo, make this happen. He's my good friend, actually. I'm trying to, he's an astrologer also, and he lives here. I'm trying to,
Motivate
get
him.
him
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yeah, but like so yeah, just really really understanding that. And I mean, there's just so much. I think that everything, I think that the reason that we are the way we are is because of karma. So if I'm a Pisces, and I'm not a very emotional, I mean, I am a very sensitive person, but I don't really cry much, like I don't I'm pretty tough, like very tough and masculine, even though I do astrology. And I think that I'm a Pisces for a reason. Like, no, like I feel more like a Scorpio, if anything. And most people experience me that way. And the reason though that I believe that I'm a Pisces is because, I mean, it could be something about soul evolution. I don't know, but I think it's part of it could be I'm supposed to get better at feeling emotions or something, or allowing them to come in, not self-sabotaging. 12th house Leo South Node. I don't know. So yeah, it's everything is just it's like a puzzle in my mind when I do readings. It's really hard to explain, but like the first part is like taking the pieces, turning them around, turning them around, turning them around, turning them around, and then it's all pattern recognition, which is like my favorite thing. And I'm just creating, like I'm just finding patterns, connecting, 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 and then the result, and then I send the recording, and then rest
As part of
is
synthesizing it. Yeah, like you allow yourself that intuitive approach at the same time while knowing the skills. And so think of the south node as the sun, and squares to the south node as steps that you skipped in a previous life. And so now you're being asked to do that work that the square is indicating. Did I understand that right?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and it's different. It's different for everyone. I'll give you a very, very, very strong example. It's actually the thing that when I learned about, um, you know, when I started learning about astrology, when I learned about this, it was like the probably the most impactful thing I ever learned for myself. So I have Pluto on the IC squared nodes, and I don't know, I'm not gonna get in my life story, but basically I've had a crazy, crazy life. Should be dead. And not to get to eighth house, but the point is that I'm not. And but if, like, when I understood, like, I don't have like trauma in this life, like, or like bad trauma, but like Pluto in the IC by itself, that is someone who has trauma. I mean, I've yet to see someone without trauma who has Pluto in the IC. But the fact that it squares my nodes, so I was always told like, oh, like because like I was bad, and I was always told, oh, the way that you are, like it's because of your relationship with your dad or like whatever. I'm like, no, like yeah, we had our kind of normal bumping heads a little bit, but it's all love and stuff like that. And then I understand I have the nodes square Pluto, so it's like this is me bringing Pluto, your darkness, your in this case on the IC, your unconscious trauma into this life from a past life. And then it's also Venus is square Pluto on the North Node. So it's like I've been betrayed. This is gonna be really trippy. I was betrayed by a woman in a past life. That's what I've kind of figured out. It's either that or something even more malicious, maybe murdered. I don't know. But then yeah, like I basically I figured out through astrology the other day because I had a dream of my first girlfriend ever, which was during 2013 2015, which is the last eclipse was talking to us about. I had a dream of her. Then I was working out listening to music, and the song that was our song came on, and I just pulled a chart up, her chart up to really actually look at it, and then I realized that her descendant was exactly at that point that was linked to that trauma. It was insane. It was like it just showed that she, like, it was exactly on my south node, as I meant to say. Like, so she was the one, and she screwed me over in this life too. And I was like, yo, this is too much, to the degree exact. I'm like, this is too much. So it's magic
Wow.
astrology.
It is, isn't it? And it's interesting to think. I mean, I'm just trying to make connections here in my mind. And do you take the ascendant aspects of the ascendant to the nodes into consideration at all? Or is it planets that mainly you like to look at?
Everything, anything.
Hmm.
It's a good question actually, because actually you so you've had a lot of clients, obviously. What percent would you say were bad? Have you had? I think I've had like maybe two or three out of a lot that were bad. I don't know.
What do you mean? Like the people were bad or
Just bad apples. Yeah, just like the toxic people. I don't know.
yeah,
You
I
don't have to
guess
answer it.
yeah, I guess two or three makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't thought about
Yes.
that in a while, but yeah, now that I think about it, there were just a couple, but even that, I mean, I just have so much compassion that even that I can kind of, and also I think my approach as well, because I'm so about love and wisdom, and that's what people know. So it ends up being
Yeah.
like I attract people who are interested in magnifying that in their own life. So why do you ask? What has your
Yeah.
experience
No.
been?
No. I'm the same way as well, and I agree. No, but this person was like, it was actually exactly to your point, because she was born like very, very like similar, I think a few months apart from me, but she had the same Pluto square nodes, but her nodes were square the ascendant also. And like I said, I'm like, even if someone screams at me, even if someone like is a complete like mean person to me, like I'm very, very diplomatic. Like I will diffuse the situation like every time, But with her, it was just a menace. And it got to the point where I did the reading for her. I spent 2 hours doing it, and she wrote PayPal, which now I don't accept from PayPal because of that. And even though she had received the reading, she blocked me on Instagram, and somehow PayPal gave her the money back. And it was crazy. And so and she just had this energy, and like I saw in her chart like a lot of aspects, not just that, but she did have the note, the ascendant square the nodes, and Pluto square the nodes. So I found that interesting.
I think especially now after all this time of looking at charts, it's possible you look at the chart and very quickly you're able to get sort of a snapshot. You're able to see the
Yeah,
things that really stand out. Yeah, exactly. So
a
some
color. I
people
get colors.
really you do. Oh, okay. Isn't that interesting? So certain colors stand
Not
out.
like right. Yeah, like not like right away. I had that with music, or I had. It's my biggest regret. But yeah, like colors and like kind of, I don't know, shapes or something. But yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's great. And I think I know that I am going to be looking at squares to the nodes, natal planet squares to the nodes, a whole other way now. And I'll be delving into my Taurus South node in a whole other way as a result of our conversation. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And once again, everybody, remember Jesse is coming to Synchronicity University as part of the May 2024 speaker series. I learned so much talking to him here. I'm sure you'll learn a lot from his talk as well. And remember, you've got just a couple of weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from Jesse and other incredible astrologers as part of the May 2024 speaker series. Jesse, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this moment with you. I just so enjoyed it. And I am very excited to just start applying some of the techniques that I learned here with you today. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Look forward to it and working more in the future. And yeah, look forward to the class.
And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Until we connect again, take care. Bye.